to Learning Literature with Purva. In this video, we are going to learn about 9 literary devices: imagery, personification, litotes, onomatopoeia, kenning, metonymy, synecdoche, synesthesia, and zeugma. And with this, we are going to complete our 3-part video series on 25 literary devices. So if you haven't watched the part 1 and part 2 of the series, then they are right on my channel. Do watch them after you watch this video and subscribe to my channel so that you never miss an update, and also hit the bell icon. So let's begin our discussion with imagery. Imagery is visually descriptive and figurative language used in a literary work to represent people, objects, and ideas. It appeals to the 5 senses of the reader and helps them in forming pictures in their mind. Now there are 5 types of imagery. It was dark and dim in the forest. This is an example of visual imagery because it appeals to the reader's sense of sight. Owls were screeching. This is an example of auditory imagery because it appeals to the reader's sense of hearing. Then he whiffed the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. This is an example of olfactory imagery because it appeals to the reader's sense of smell. She ran her hands on soft satin. This is an example of tactile imagery because it appeals to the reader's sense of touch. I felt good after having the glass of tangy lemonade. This is an example of gustatory imagery because it appeals to the reader's sense of taste. The poem Daffodils by William Wordsworth has extensive use of imagery. Readers can completely visualize the picture of daffodils dancing in the field. Let's move to the next literary device, personification. Personification is a figure of speech in which non-humans, can be animals, things, or ideas, are given human-like characteristics. The non-human objects are portrayed in such a manner that we feel that they have the ability to act like human beings. For example, in the poem Daffodils by William Wordsworth, daffodils are personified. There are these lines in the poem: a host of golden daffodils fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Now we know that daffodils are flowers, they are not human beings, they cannot dance. But because William Wordsworth has personified daffodils, has given human-like characteristics to daffodils, we can totally visualize the daffodils dancing in the breeze. Some other examples of personification are: the wind was howling last night. The old car was sad because no one used it. The last piece of cake was calling out my name. My alarm clock yells at me every morning so that I wake up. So these are a few examples of personification. Litotes is a figure of speech in which understatement is used to emphasize a point. Unlike hyperbole, where writers exaggerate their emotions, in litotes, writers use double negatives to affirm a positive statement. In mathematics, we all have learned minus minus equals to plus. So that same formula is applied in litotes. For example, the play was not bad. Not and bad. Double negatives are used to affirm a positive statement because the meaning of the statement is the play was good. Then another example is I cannot disagree with you, means I agree with you. Then I am not unfamiliar with poetry, means I know about poetry. So these are a few examples of litotes where you use 2 negatives to affirm a positive statement, and it is a kind of an understatement. Now let's move to the next literary device, onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is the formation of words that imitates the natural sounds of a thing, such as water splashed. Her anklets were tinkling. Now poets and writers use them to give a musical quality, to give a sound effect to the poem so that the poem becomes more expressive and interesting. For example, I heard the fly buzz. Hush, hush, they can hear us. Listen to the pitter-patter of raindrops. The river gurgles. So these are a few examples of onomatopoeia. Now let's move to the next literary device, kenning. Kenning is a literary device that was widely used in the Anglo-Saxon period. It is a combination of two words to form a new compound phrase, and it works as a metaphor. In the famous Anglo-Saxon poem Beowulf, many kennings were used, such as earth stepper, which means traveler, then whale road, which means sea. In today's day, in the modern day, we also use a lot of kennings, such as couch potato. We call couch potato to people who are always sitting on the sofa in front of a TV and like watching TV shows. Then arm candy. We call arm candy to a romantic partner who is very attractive. Then four eyes. We call four eyes to people who wear spectacles. Then bookworm. We call bookworm to people who are crazy about books. So these are the kennings that are popularly used today. Metonymy is a literary device in which name of an object is replaced by a word closely related to the object. For example, king is replaced by crown because crown is directly related to king. Then business executive is replaced by suit. We have all heard the popular proverb, pen is mightier than the sword. This is a classic example of metonymy. Here pen refers to the written words, whereas sword refers to military force. Then in the play Julius Caesar, Mark Antony in his speech says, lend me your ears. So this is also a classic example of metonymy, because instead of saying be attentive to me audience, he says lend me your ears. Synecdoche is a figure of speech in which a part is used instead of whole and vice versa. For example, there are 50 hungry mouths to feed. Instead of mentioning people, a part of them, mouth, is mentioned. Then, see my new set of wheels. Instead of mentioning cars, a part of car, wheels, is mentioned. And now the opposite, where whole is used instead of part. A classic example is England lost by 6 wickets. So instead of mentioning the England cricket team, which is a part of the country England, the whole country England is mentioned. So these are a few examples of synecdoche. Synesthesia is a literary technique used by writers to present places, characters and ideas in such a way that it appeals to more than one senses of the reader at a given time. For example, look at this statement, back to the region where sun is silent. The line is taken from Dante's Divine Comedy, and it appeals to both the senses of sight and hearing. Then, I can smell trouble in the air. It appeals to both the senses of smell and touch. Then, taste the rainbow. It appeals to both the senses of taste and sight. So these are a few examples of synesthesia. So finally we have come to the last literary device, Zeugma. Zeugma is a figure of speech in which one word is used to govern two or more words for a powerful effect. For example, he lost his coat and temper. The word lost is used to govern the two nouns coat and temper. Then, she broke his car and heart. The storm sank his boat and lifelong dream. So these are a few examples of zeugma that are commonly used in English literature. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the 3-part series on literary devices. If you haven't watched the part 1 and part 2 of the series, then do watch them, as I believe they will be very helpful to you. And if you enjoyed this video, then do like it and share with all your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will be back next week with a new video on a literary work. Till then, stay tuned to Learning Literature with Purva, and thank you for watching.